What's up, everybody? It's Hoyt here, and back at Farming Simulator. Do apologize. It took me a little bit of extra time, a little more extra time to get back to it. Fortunately, life happens. But here, back here, I did do a little scouting off camera, and uh, so far I'm not very wild about the lack of selection. Um, of the tools because there's honestly not a lot, not a whole lot. So I'm gonna run with what we can, but I can tell you I'm not gonna be using any John Deere stuff. So go ahead and take this shop and sell it. Had to take a look and see where the vehicle shop was. I'm hoping to get. I'm hoping. I'm playing on console on Xbox specifically, and so I'm hoping there will be some more mods getting added soon. Let's see what all. I think I got. I think one of our fields is planted. I think gotta take and harvest some wheat. Not 100% certain. I have to look when we get back to the farm, but plan is to try to set it up similar to, similar to my family farm. Um, see, see what I can figure out. Um, Sell point. Have changed that feature. I don't know. If there's anybody that's not played Farming Simulator before, usually it's better to go to take your equipment to the shop and sell it there because you actually get a little more money selling it directly at the shop instead of just selling it in the menu. So, huh. Well, That might be it there. Yep, here we go. Randomly walking by garage. Okay. Yep. This is what we own. Okay. Like that's gonna. The next purchase I was gonna do was gonna be a um probably like a loading wagon, forage wagon. Get the straw up just because at the moment we can't afford a baler and a bale wagon all in ones. Too. And in 22, you just had to click the, I think it was the left stick to see um, what farmlands were available to buy and which ones you already purchased. All the different plots thing. So they have changed that. Okay, get back to it. I don't know if there's really used to. I don't know. Might go get a wagon. I don't know. Because that's just a little bit of straw. I just plow it under. We are going to go ahead and harvest the other field and I guess look at um, the growth calendar and see what we should plant next. Also, I'm gonna take a quick look. We already have, yeah, okay. We've got 3 cattle already. Huh, separated that. So before now, the jobs would be like fully mow the hay, header it, rake it, bale it, deliver it. But it looks like they're splitting it all up now. I would assume. Hmm. That just says mowing. That just says tethering. Um, weeding was its own thing before, of course, fertilizing. But all that used to be all together. Mowing, tethering, raking, baling, delivering it were all in one mission. So probably they can look into doing some of those to make some extra money. But let's get started getting this canola up. And pretty much anytime I do the driving, if I don't hire a worker, um, I'm probably going to be doing it like this because this is how we do our fields in this pattern. Um, which I've got a little bit of liberty in this because in real life our fields are usually fenced in kind of tight. So in the corners you'd have to kind of do some pulling and backing to cut those corners. But we always make sure to have the pipe out on the outside. So if you do catch yourself out in the middle of the field with a full tank, you can easily just pull a truck up and unload it with the pipe. I was a little disappointed to see that they didn't have the smaller Case IH ones like they have in the past. I think the past couple games they had. I want to say the 1660 Case IH combine, um, which is pretty similar to one we've got. We've got four total combines. We've got an old International 715 classic, and then we've got a old International 915. It's a little bit bigger, fair size bigger than the 715. Um, and then we've got, I believe it was an yeah, it's just a regular International, um, not as old as the 715 and 915, but it's a 1460 International, and it was one of the first with the new axial flow um, design, axial flow combine. And then our latest one that we bought, which we've had it for a number of years now, but still, the latest one we've got, the newest model that we have, is the Case IH 1640, which is just under the 1660 in size. So until I got enough money in the previous games, until I got enough money to get some of the bigger Case IH combines, um, I would just stick to the 1660 Case IH because it was big enough. I'd say it was probably about this size, maybe a little bigger, and so it wasn't too small. Pretty good size combine. And it could get the job done. I've tried to convince some of my buddies to play this, um, and one of my friends that I've known since elementary school, that I do a lot of gaming with, he told me that whenever Farming Simulator 22 came on Game Pass, he downloaded it because of all my constant telling him he ought to give it a try, and he could come work on my farm or something like that. He told me uh, a little while ago, whenever it came on Game Pass, he said, "Well, I downloaded it. I went in and started a game." I think he said he only had it up for about 30 minutes and immediately closed it out and uninstalled it. So, I mean, it may not be for everybody, but I do enjoy it. Um, I am a farmer, but it's a little different whenever you can kind of run stuff that you don't usually get to run, or maybe you can set up your own farm in a different way than what your current farm is, um, or well, what your real farm is, and kind of, you know, have some fun with it and creativity. Do have some Angus cattle, looks like, which I am curious. I'm assuming that it's just like in the past games where you just have cattle and they just reproduce. I was curious if they were going to possibly add in something like where you could kind of like real life, where you have cows, which are mama cows, um, and then you have a bull to breed them. Which, of course, if you've got Black Angus cows and a Black Angus bull, you'll just have straight Black Angus cattle. Um, but there are ways to cross them, and my family, a lot of time through the years, because a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people, when you talk about beef cattle, a lot of people think about Black Angus and how it's the top of the line. In in reality, there are other cattle that are still decent for beef. Um, the rough thing about Black Angus cattle is most of the time they're pretty wild. So whenever you're trying to work them, whenever you're trying to give them their vaccines and um, wormer and all the medicine and everything that they need, and you're in there in a corral with them, sometimes you can get hurt pretty easily because they're easily spooked. But there's other breeds of cattle that are calmer. Um, my family, a lot of the times, we have mostly Black Angus cows, and we would have a Hereford bull, which, if you don't know what a Hereford is, you can look it up. It's spelled Hereford, and they're the red and white cows that are beefy. Um, they generally have a white face with a lot of red on their back, and then they've usually got a white belly, and some white across their shoulders sometimes too. But Herefords are very calm, very gentle, most of the time, from our experience. And we even had, I remember years ago, we had a big bull, and I mean he was massive, and um, well, he had horns, but they were rounded off. They were cut short and rounded off. But the base of his horns were about the size of a softball, as big around. But I could go out there whenever we were feeding, and I'd throw the feed out and everything, and I could sit there and pet on him and rub his face and rub behind his ears and everything, and he'd just stand there. Um, can't quite get away with that with some others. Some others are pretty. For instance, Black Angus. Most of the time, Black Angus bulls don't want to have anything to do with you. Um, Jersey bulls, Jerseys, which are actually dairy cows. Most of the most common dairy cattle are Holsteins, which are the black and white cows that most people think about when you think about dairy. And then there's Jerseys, which are a kind of an off beige color. Um, the cows, at least from our experience, I think I've heard some others talk about their jerseys in the past, other farmers, but from our experience, our jerseys have always the few that we've had through the years have been pretty gentle, but the Jersey Bulls are always very mean. Um, and years ago, my dad kind of warned us about them whenever we were out delivering some liquid supplement feed to a customer. And he had a Jersey Bull, and my dad kind of warned us ahead of time to make sure to keep an eye out because if he could find a chance, then he'd sneak up behind you and try to run you over or headbutt you or something. Just mean as the devil, which most of the time they're nicknamed Jersey Devils. So, um, so each breed kind of, I mean, kind of like dogs, you know, um, kind of has a different temperament, different attitude, and so that's one thing that would be kind of cool to add if you could have, for instance, Black Angus cows and a Hereford bull or Simmental or Limousine or Brahma or whatever, and mix them together. Um, it would be pretty cool to be able to do that. But it doesn't look like they added that. I'm assuming just from looking at the menu, um, which we can dive into looking at it in more detail, looking in the shop and everything to see how all that works. But needless to say, it would be cool to be able to, you know, do that in the game. Same with hogs, because we do raise hogs. My family does, and we our sows, the mama hogs, are all Yorkshires, which are the kind of the I guess probably the stereotypical hog. Um, there's a darn soccer ball in that tree. Just noticed that. um, anyways, the Yorkshires are white, pretty much, or well, tan, um, just plain. But then we have two different boars. Um, one is a Duroc, which is a deep red. Um, and as they get older, they do get meaner and more aggressive. Those boars do. So um, we generally switch those boars out pretty frequently, and then our other boars are that we use are Hampshires, which are black with a white stripe across their back, um, right across their front shoulders, and they, from my experience, Hampshire boars are probably the calmest. We used to have one; he was massive when I was a kid, and his name was Oscar, and he was, I don't know how big he was, but he was massive. He could easily tear tear me in half when I was a kid, just easy as could be. If you made him mad, but most of the time you didn't really make him mad. But he was real gentle, and I could pet on him. Um, and he didn't really have a care in the world. So that would be cool to be able to have the different breeds between the bulls and the cows and the boars and the sows and everything. But I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming that's not a feature that they've added. So there. Oh, I forgot it was over in this shed part. Okay. So I think we sold our cultivator because it was John Deere, and you know, to each his own. If you like John Deere, more power to you. But I do not. Um, so just my preference. Um, so I'm just not going to be using any John Deere equipment. How much horsepower does our tractor? So in 22, there used to be a thing in this. You just go down, and it would show what um, equipment you actually had. Which this one it takes you to this menu when you do it. Um, let's see. This does not help me whatsoever because it says you can have 160 to 225 horsepower, but it doesn't tell me how much horsepower it's got. Um, so say okay, this is a 160. Let's see. Fire that requires 180s. Guess we'll have to stick to this. Probably probably check. Well, I don't know if it'll say needs plowing anymore or not. Rolling, which I honestly personally don't understand the concept of rolling. Um, Somebody else watching this knows what that actually is. Really, um, leave a comment. Let me know because all we've ever done is we've cultivated, we've disked, which is what we call just using a disc harrow, which down here in the south we just call it a disc harrow. Um, so and then of course we'll plow. Um, but I have personally never heard of or seen anything about rolling. Um, Not until playing Farming Simulator. So if anybody does know, let me know. So we will go ahead and get a mulcher. Um, because I'm pretty sure mulching because pretty sure in 22 it helped it helped the yield, um, which it makes sense because if you're mulching the stuff back into the ground, then you're reintroducing some of those nutrients back into the soil, um, and letting that letting that stuff tearing it up, mulching it to where it can decompose better. I'm still getting the controls down. Oh, is that? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that looks like I'm setting, like if you look down in the lower right hand corner, um, at 18, like I can move it up and down. That looks like I'm setting the RPMs instead of the speed now, which that's that's pretty cool. It feels a little bit more realistic now because most of the time on a tractor you have a throttle lever and well some people use the pedal. I generally um, don't use the pedal throttle that much just because you can keep it pretty constant, especially when you're working in a field and you want to keep it at a certain RPM, especially for certain tools that are PTO driven, which is PTO stands for power. Uh, Hang on, I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. I can't remember exactly. Um, I want to say it's powertrain overdrive, but I feel like that's wrong. Just because all my life I can't remember what the acronym stands for. Just because we've never said cut on the whatever. We just say cut on the PTO, and it is what drives the equipment that's hooked up to the tractor. Um, it's really bugging me now. I'll have to look it up. But whenever you're working with equipment like that, that is hooked up to the PTO, you want to keep it at a certain speed. The engine speed, you want to keep it at a certain speed. And most of the time, the tractors will have a um, I can't think of the word now. The meter for where you read the RPMs, um, which is rotations per minute. But anyways, whenever you use a tractor, most of the time it'll have a spot on that meter that says um, PTO speed, and it'll have it at a certain speed, and so you generally don't want to go above that speed. Otherwise, you can damage the tractor and possibly the equipment um, whenever you're running something with the PTO. I don't know if there's anything in these fields to mulch. I want to see. Yeah, I don't think. Well, I think there's a spot, which some weird reason I think the worker, whenever we were doing the tutorial last episode, I think the worker kind of did its own weird thing and just kind of skipped this part, and for whatever reason was going at a weird angle. I don't think it doesn't look like there's anything here to mulch, but there should be plenty over here in this wheat field to mulch, and so we'll do this here. Looking at the time. Um, I think we'll go ahead and do this field, and then we'll call it. Because it's currently a Friday night, and whereas it should be the weekend starting, I've got to be up at, it's like 11:30 right now. I've got to be up at 8 o'clock. Well, before 8 o'clock, but our feed store gates will open at 8 o'clock tomorrow, Saturday morning. So got to be over there and uh, wait on customers, make some feed, take care of some other stuff on the farm. So I'm going to do this field and we're going to cut it there. And hopefully it won't take me as long next time to get back and get another video, which I'm also um, going to be working on some other stuff as well. There was a couple other things I started, but I didn't keep going with them. Just life happened and I got busy, and so it was just hard to get back to it. But a couple other things I was trying to run as kind of a series. I'm going to try to get back to, and hopefully, hopefully get all those kind of caught up, and try to keep this going as well, because I'm probably going to be playing the crap out of this um, for quite a while, because I love Farming Simulator, the whole franchise. So I'll definitely be playing this a bunch, and I'll probably just keep recording on this one. Um, I may start another farm to do some experimenting or something, um, but I don't know yet. I may not. I may just kind of just do everything on this one, at least until I get a little ways and decide to start a new farm. Because a lot of the times I'll get pretty good ways on a farm, and then I'll want to start fresh. I'll play on it a while and then come back to, my bigger farm that's more established, and keep running on it and making more improvements, um, and so on. So we're going to see what all we can do on this one. That's for sure. And I'm thinking probably might plant grass. We can cut it for hay since we've already got some cattle. Um, and then buying a wrapper and wrapping some of it for silage. Which I'll have to also check and see how long silage takes to ferment. But I don't know. We may, which it is something new. Looks like um, in the menu, it looked like for the animals, that with the cow pasture, it was like there was a meter for the meadow. Um, and so I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if it means I gotta put water in to make sure the grass keeps growing or something like that, where they can keep eating. I don't know. Um, I may do some googling to try to figure out what that means. Because generally in the past it was just straight up, you had the option of making total mixed rations, which was, you could either just do a mixture between hay and silage, or you could add some straw in as a filler. And so you want to keep it between 0 and 33% straw, or I think it was 25% actually. Um, and then you wanted to keep it between 33 and 67% for both the hay and silage ratios. So most of the time, I would just do a 50-50 split between hay and silage to make a total mixed ration, which then would give the cows 100% um, on their effectiveness. So they would, you know, get healthier quicker. And then, of course, whenever they're healthy, then they um, start the meter and the timer for reproduction. And with beef cattle, need to get them reproducing pretty quickly um, because they don't. Beef cattle do not produce milk. So if I had dairy cows, um, I would just kind of wouldn't be as worried because they just produce some milk um, over time. Probably not a whole lot until they got to where they had 100% effectiveness. But with beef cattle, um, if it works like in the past two games, then they won't reproduce as quickly if their effectiveness meter is not up to 100%. So I'm thinking may may do one field, maybe in row cropping of some sort, and then do the rest in hay. Which now that I'm thinking about it, I might plow out um, in between 3, 4, and 5 and connect those all as one big field and just plant it all in grass. Then I can do some cuttings of hay on it and put up some dry hay and wrap some of it for silage. And then I can use this field over here for row cropping of some sort, whether it be canola, wheat, barley, whatever. But I will probably get that figured out and start on that in the next one. I want to go ahead and finish this field tonight, and I'll be posting this pretty much as soon as I get done with it. Um, Either right after I get done recording or um, tomorrow, one of the two. Because if it takes a while for it to process, I may need to go ahead and get in bed before it's done processing. So it may be the next day before I get it uploaded. But yeah, let's just finish this field and call it a night. Because I was over there today, we had a lot of feed to make. We were out of several things, um, and we had to make some. And while we were out of almost while we were almost out of one feed, and we were currently mixing it up, customers came in and bought up all of what we had of another feed. So then we kind of had to finish mixing the one feed and immediately switch over to make a new batch of the feed we just sold out of. So it was a very busy day, to say the least. Okay, so we're done with that. Um, so I'm gonna hop off of here, and we're gonna cut it there, and that's it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions, comments, anything, leave them in the comments. Um, I'd love to hear any feedback or any questions you got for me, anything, or any suggestions. If you want us to, want me to take and I don't know, focus on hogs or cattle or something else, let me know. And or if there's any, maybe some tutorials or tips or tricks or anything like that, which I'm going to throw some stuff in there as I go along through here. Which I'll probably pick up some stuff as we play. Um, but especially with it being, brand new game, and there are some new mechanics and some new stuff that are very, very different from past games. So it's a learning process. So, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. I appreciate it. If you liked it, leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it enough. So, um, I would really appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.